gotta grind, won't stop. So won't quit. Shine like no other. I be on some other shit. I got a high price lifestyle. Super damn big. If I want it, then I got it. If I don't, then all I gotta do is go. Stay up on my feet. Fall till I fall. Lost it till I finish. I ain't go. Stay up on my feet. I live in town. You respecting me. Sitting in here checking the floor crown. All I wanna do is call. My money over shit to my hustle on the wall. Do it down to the draw. You done kids. Got a man how to swag a bitch. A stupid dumb shit.
Alright, what's up? It's your boy Mr. T-Money 1993 with a vid. Just doing a little update for my Panthers fans, and got something else I want to talk about that I'll get into a little bit later. Roster moves. Jay Stu got put on the pup, so he won't be able to play till week 7 at the earliest. He's still having troubles with his ankle, which personally, I mean, Jay Stu's good, but we still got D'Angelo, we still got Tober, we still got Barter, so I'm alright. D'Angelo is actually my favorite out of all the running backs anyway, so I mean, that's not hurting me, and I don't think it'll hurt us that much. The rookie we drafted that was supposed to fight for a starting spot, Edmund, whatever his name is, Karunga, whatever his name is, he's out for the season with hamstring and knee problems. Barely practiced anyway. I mean, we signed Travell, so I think we'll be alright. Joe Adams was released with his calf. Honestly, when Ted Ginn took that putt back against the Ravens, I said Joe Adams is cut. Honestly, I mean, because he wasn't playing receiver for us. All he was doing was returning putts, and Ted Ginn's way better at that than him. Therefore, I mean, we didn't need him, so I figured on him being cut. Frank Curse, one of our backup tackles, got cut. He got a lot of playing time last year, but I mean, you got to look at who we added. We added Starr, we added Kawan, we added Colin Cole. So, I mean, it just wasn't a spot for him anymore. Tolbert should be ready for the regular season with his hamstring. He hasn't. Did he play at all in the? I don't think he played at all in the preseason. Barner, he had an ankle injury against the Ravens, but he's day to day. He should be able to play, I'm hoping. It's just time to get ready for Seattle. We gotta still make some more cuts. Receivers, I don't know. The receivers that we got left are all pretty good. This is gonna be a battle for any of those spots. I think some of our secondary people are gonna get cut. What else? Line-wise, I think we may pick up a lineman if it's a good one that gets cut by somebody. We might go out and pick them up. But that's all I got to say on that end of it. Now, what else I want to talk about is the trash that is the Sporting News magazine. I looked at their little preview of the season and what they think is gonna happen and yada yada yada. They picked the Falcons to come first in division, which I don't even have a problem with that. They went 13-3 last year. They can be your favorites. They picked the Saints to be second, us to be third, and the Bucks to be fourth. And just looking at some of these grades that they gave different teams. Falcons, they got an A- in quarterback, which, I mean, you can do that if you want to, but I don't think Ryan will be as good this year. Running back, they gave a B+, because, you know, they got Steven Jackson and Jacquez. Receivers, they picked the A, which I don't mind that, because they group tight ends and receivers together. So Julio, Tony Gonzalez, Roddy White, and Harry Douglas is who they talked about. Now, defensive-wise, D-line, they gave him a C+. They talked about UC getting signed, which UC is on the downside of his career. I mean, honestly. The Falcons fans acted so excited. Oh, we got UC, we got UC. I mean, he had 6 sacks. John Abrahams was a situational pass rusher and still had 10 sacks. I mean, I just don't UC didn't leave New York because he was so talented and he was like everybody wanted him. He left New York because he wasn't better than Justin Tuck and he wasn't better than JPP. And I don't even know if he was their third best lineman because what's that guy? Kiowaka, whatever his name is, the guy that they switch from linebacker to defensive lineman every year. He's pretty good too. But anyway, they gave the Falcons D line a C plus because they talked about Bobinix. I mean, he's alright. Linebackers, they gave their linebackers a C minus because they struggled against the read option, which they did. Cam shitting on them last year. And they struggled on stopping tight ends, which we got Greg Olsen. So, I mean, we have their two biggest weaknesses. Secondary, they gave them a B. I don't know how you give a team a B that lost 3 of their top 5 corners. They lost Robinson, they lost Grimes, and they lost somebody else. Owens or something. But yeah, they gave them a B, which is crazy to me. I mean, the only way you can give them a B is you have to bank on Desmond Trufant being a beast this year. Their safeties, though, I respect their safeties. Both their safeties are good. They gave their special teams a B minus, which is okay, I guess. But their return is not that good to me to be a B minus. And they said what everybody else who knows football pretty much says. Their offense is good enough to win a Super Bowl, but until they fix up their defense, they're just going to be a good regular season team. Let's see what they said about the Saints. They said their breakout candidate was going to be Victor Butler, who's already hurt before the season even started. He didn't even make it until he wore pads, I don't think. He tore his ACL, like, in shorts time. Offense, they gave him an A, which is okay. You got Breeze. Running backs, even though they lost Chris Ivory, they still gave them a B. Which, I mean, Mark Ingram's been a disappointment in the NFL. Pierre Thomas, he's good, but, I mean, the way they use him, I don't really like. Now, Sproles, I actually think Sproles is going to have a really good year with Sean Payton being back, is what I can say. But Sean Payton does a good job of getting Sproles out on the edge or one-on-one matches with a linebacker and something like that. Receivers, they gave him an A minus. You got to be kidding me. They have 2 good receivers in Colston and Lance Moore. But Lance Moore can disappear. Cole's, I mean, he's getting older and older and slower. And, I mean, he's a good possession receiver, though. I wouldn't put faith in Lance Moore. He gets hurt a lot, and he's not that good. I just feel like the receiving core, when they were actually a good team, was way better. They had them two. They had Devery Henderson. They had Robert Meacham. And slowly, I feel like the receiving is getting worse. They're counting on Kenny Styles and Nick Toon, which I like Nick Toon in college, but, I mean, being a first-year receiver is always a challenge. Look at Alshon Jeffrey for the Bears last year. In college, at South Carolina, he was a beast. Like, easily one of the best receivers. But, I mean, he's not doing that good in the NFL. Or you look at Justin Blackman. He's not, I mean, he put some numbers, but he's still not where he was at in college. Offensive line, they gave him a B minus. Which, I don't know how, when they've lost 2 of their best linemen in the past 2 years with Carl Nix and Bushrod. So I don't even know how you give them a B minus. What else did they talk about? Yeah, I don't know how your line can be a B minus when left tackle is your biggest worry, which is protecting your quarterback's blind side. Defense, D-line, they're a big fan of Cameron Jordan. Which, I mean, Cameron Jordan's okay, but in my opinion, I feel like he takes some plays off and he's not as dominant as he should be. They talked about Will Smith, but, of course, Will Smith's hurt, tore his ACL, and they traded for some backup linebacker from the 49ers. Linebackers, they gave him a C minus, which I think that's even being nice. People talk about Jonathan Vilma, just not being as good because of Bounty Gate and that type of thing. Personally, I feel like he hasn't been as good anyway since 2011 anyway, when he messed up his knee. I feel like that was a downhill. I feel like that was the start of the downhill of his career. Lofton's okay, but I mean he's a Falcons reject, so I don't know how good he's gonna be. If you get rejected off the Falcons defense, secondary, they gave their secondary a C minus because they signed Keenan Lewis and drafted Kenny Vaccaro. My thing is, the Saints fans get excited about Kenny Vaccaro. Kenny Vaccaro is not even going to start. I don't know how much he's even going to see the field. He's their third string safety. Roman Harper and Jenkins start, which Jenkins is okay. Jenkins used to be a corner who's now a safety. And then Roman Harper can't guard his shadow. He's a good blitzer. He's a good run stopper, but he cannot guard his shadow. Special teams, they get the special teams a B. That's okay because they have Sproles returning and they have a decent kicker and their putter's real good. Now, the BS that I wanted to talk about. What they said about my Panthers. Alright, now, breakout candidate, they said Josh Norman, which, I mean, that's okay. Josh Norman has had an amazing preseason. He had, 3-4 picks. He's a good cover corner. Which he was still where we drafted him. But the one problem that I've seen him do better on this year was tackling last year. That's how he lost his starting spot. It wasn't because he was getting burned or anything like that. He was just giving up tackles, like on a slant, missing tackles or not wrapping people up, this, that, and the other. But this year in the preseason so far, I've seen him doing a better job at tackling. They gave our quarterbacks a B, which, Cam's passing numbers looked a little bit worse, like yardage and that kind of thing, but he also took care of the ball. He didn't throw as many picks last year. And he actually had a streak of, 170-something, 180 passes without interception, which for a young quarterback, I'm happy with that. If you take care of the ball, we'll have a good chance to win. Running backs, they gave our running backs a B+, because they talked about the three-headed monster. That was actually a four-headed monster, because they didn't even talk about Barner. Receivers, they gave us a B, and they talked about Smitty and LaFell and Olsen and Hickson. They didn't even talk about Ted Ginn being a good receiver who can stretch the field. They didn't talk about David Geddes coming back from injury. He was the only receiver to ever make Jimmy Clausen look decent. They didn't talk about Armani looking better this year. Offensive line, they gave our offensive line a D. First of all, we have one of the best centers in the league in Ryan Khalil. Yes, he missed all of last year, but he's coming back strong this year. I mean, even Madden, I felt like his rating was too low. I think he's like a 78 on Madden or something like that. I just feel like he was a Pro Bowl and considered one of the best centers in the game before he got hurt. So at least give him a chance to come back before everybody tries to write him off. They talked about Jordan Gross getting older, which is true. He can get beat at times, but he's still a good offensive tackle. They talked about Amini. Amini was good, and I feel like he'll be better with Ryan Khalil being back. And then right guard, we're going to have Gary Williams, which they didn't talk about. They just talked about Han Gardner and Karunga, or whatever his name is, that got hurt. Defense, they gave our D-line a B, which I don't understand how. We have two of the best DNs in the league with CJ95 and the Kraken. Each had 10 plus sacks. We got Starr, who was at one point supposed to be the first pick in the draft at D tackle. Dewan at the other tackle, who had 6 sacks. Then we added Kawan Short. So, okay, the only tandems that had more sacks than Hardy and Charles Johnson, they said, was Von Miller and Elvis Dummerville, who's broken up, and Cincinnati, Geno Atkins and Michael Johnson. So I don't know how you can only give our D-line a B. Linebackers, they gave us a B. Their biggest thing was they're just unsure if Beason will be able to make it to the season healthy, which is true. But even if he does get hurt this year, we have Chase Blackburn from the Giants. Secondary, they gave our secondary a D. They barely talked about Drayton Florence, who's going to start for us. They said all they talked about him was saying that he only played like 2 or 3 games with the Lions last year. They talked about Captain Motherland being a nickel corner, which is wrong. Captain is going to be on the other side. He starts. Josh Norman and DJ Moore is going to be the nickel corners. Then safety, they doubt Mike Mitchell, which Mike Mitchell is a hard hitter. If you haven't seen that in the preseason, every game I've seen him knock people's helmets off. He injured Tyshawn Taylor against the Ravens in a legit, just good hit. Tyshawn Taylor was doing his thing, thinking he was going to run around and scramble, thinking he was Vic, and Mike Mitchell laid him out. They gave our special teams a C, which I disagree with, because we have Ted Ginn to return kicks. Graham Gano has looked good in the preseason, and he looked good at the end of last year. And then Nortman has looked good. So, and they gave our draft a B-, which I disagree with. Starr is going to be a star in this league. Kawan is going to be a good defensive tackle in this league. If Karanga or whatever his name is his tape looked good. AJ Klein, he's like a baby Luke Kuechly, just a little bit slower. Kenyon Barner, we got him as a steal late, and he's still gonna be nice. So I just disagree on that. I don't see us finishing 3rd in division. I honestly see us winning somewhere from 9 to 11 games, coming in 1st or 2nd in the division. I just feel like we are the best team in the NFC South. Falcons, good offense, no defense. Matt Ryan can mess it up. Plus his O-line is kind of weak. Saints, again, good offense, no defense at all. They can't stop their shadow. They couldn't stop a Pop Warner team from scoring a touchdown. And feel like Jimmy Graham's numbers may go back up since he had a wrist injury last year. Sproles' numbers may go up. The only difference really with Sean Payton running the offense, I feel like, is they're going to run the ball a little bit more, because Sean Payton tends to like to have a mixture. Instead of last year, they kind of depended on Drew Brees to win every game and to pass a whole lot of times, hence why his interceptions numbers went up. And the Buccaneers, they're the opposite. They have a good defense. Their offense is okay. I can't trust in Freeman. I feel like Doug Martin might have it down. He's still going to have a good year, just not as good as he did last year. I don't see it. Let's see what they said about the Buccaneers. They said the Buccaneers, they gave their quarterbacks a C+, which is kind of nice. That might be a little bit lenient. I probably would have just gave him a C. Their breakout candidate is Daquan Bowers. Daquan Bowers, I feel like he still just relies off of athleticism. I don't think he's really learned the techniques and how to be a good defensive lineman. Running backs, they gave the running backs an A-. I don't know if I would give it that high. Doug Martin's a good running back, but who do they have as their backups? Like Brian Leonard or somebody like that? I don't trust in the backups. And I feel like Doug Martin's gonna have a tougher year. Receivers, they gave him a B plus because of Vincent Jackson and Mike Williams, which is okay. I don't feel like they have any slot receivers, and I don't feel like their tight end spot is good. I don't know if he still is, but I know at one point their top tight end was Tom Crabtree, which I think that's a guy who used to back up Jermichael Finley in the Packers. He was used mainly as just a blocker, not really as a receiver. So I'm not confident in their tight ends. Vincent Jackson and Mike Williams just two big guys. I'm kind of hoping Mike Williams has a decent year only because I have him on my fantasy team. Offensive line, they gave the offensive line an A. Which, I mean, if you look in the middle of their line, the middle of their line is good. They still got Joseph, they still got Carl Nix, and I can't remember who else. But I feel like the inside of their line is good, but I don't know about their tackles. Defense, they gave their defensive line a B minus, which, I mean, their defensive line did great against us last year because their defensive tackles are nice. We'll see what their DNs do this year. Linebackers, they gave them a B minus, which is okay. I like Levante David. The one thing though is Quincy Black had a shoulder injury, which I know at one point they was talking about might have ended his career. So I don't know. They might be weak at the strong side spot. Secondary is a B. Yeah, because Darrell Revis and Deshaun Golston and Mark Barron. Only thing I'm afraid of for the Buccaneers, honestly, is I don't know if Mark Barron and Golston are good enough coverage guys. Like both of them they're both gonna have highlight hits this year. They're both of them gonna put licks on people. I remember when Barron had that nice hit on Steve Smith when Steve Smith was running down the sideline and Rondé Barber got out the way and Mark Barron hit him. But I mean, I don't know if they can cover well enough. And they gave their special teams a C. So anyway, they gave the draft to the Buccaneers a C minus. I just honestly don't see it like that. The Saints are gonna finish third or fourth in the division. The Buccaneers are gonna finish third or fourth in the division, and it's gonna be for first and second. It's gonna be between us and the Falcons. That's just my opinion. I don't really care about sport news like that. I mean, a lot of the analysts sleep on our Panthers anyway, hence why they didn't know how good Luke Kuechly was. And that's why they acted like that when we played the Ravens. And I'm like, Luke Kuechly's been good. He led the league in tackles. Like, come on. Thomas Davis had over 100 tackles. Like, I don't understand it. How much people sleep on us. We had a top 10 defense last year. I mean, this ain't coming out of nowhere. We just got better, yeah. Only thing we struggled with last year, secondary was okay, but they could give up stuff. But we improved our secondary, and then we could give up inside runs because Doug Martin did a good job on us last year. But that's why we got Starr. That's why we got Kawan and DeJuan. I just feel like everything that was our weakness last year, we worked on and we got better and we signed people. And I feel like we're better at each position that was our weakness. So that's why I feel like we'll come first or second in division like we did last year. Anyway, this is Mr. T Money 1993. The hate week vid is going to come soon. That type of thing. I'm ready for the first game. I'm ready to go to the game. I'm ready to talk trash for the game. I'm just ready for football to be back. Anyway, this is Mr. T Money 1993, and I'm out. Peace.